we had a few rotations on the team also, because of which few new team members had come in on the team. So what we did was we all went weekly for lunch, in which one person was assumed to be on the hot seat, and everyone shooted questions to that person. And these questions were completely informal. They ranged from career ambitions to childhood crushes to hobbies, current likings, etc. And just 1 hour of such informal questions and responses actually brought about a lot of new things about the person. So very soon we realized someone was a poet, someone was very good at photography, someone was a cartoonist, which no one knew about earlier. So this brought about very instant openness within the team. People actually started knowing each other and connecting with each other much more intimately, much more genuinely, rather than superficially. And eventually it definitely had a very visible change on the team collaboration, even on the project itself. So that was one thing. Then on motivation side, really had to work a lot on motivation. Tried a number of things which worked half did not work. But one of the things that actually worked was when we installed what went well meetings in our team. The main issue we realized was that there were no successes, because of which the team was not feeling motivated that they can actually do something well. So what I did was I started having what went well meetings instead of status meetings, in which we only discussed what went well in over the previous week. And for something that the team actually agreed, everyone in the team agreed that yes, this went well, we actually clapped, and physically we all clapped and lauded the effort of that person or a group of people. So that really brought that energy, that positive vibration, that motivation within the team. Another aspect that another thing that I kept repeating to my team always was that you guys are the experts. That is why the client is hiring you. If you are not the experts, your services will not be hired. So you need to feel in control. You need to be confident about yourself that you guys, that the team here is such an expert that a big client like PSA is actually seeking their service.
I want an example of a failure which is outside work.
Failure that's outside work. I'll talk about this particular event that I managed. I was talking about earlier of a target audience of 800. Now this was one of the biggest events that I had managed. I was the events coordinator and spokesperson for the entire event. The event went on for about 6 weeks and culminated at in the final day, which was at a water park, and the day was the water park was open to the entire participants throughout the day. And eventually in the evening we had a cultural program at the water park auditorium itself. Of all the things, audience just did not turn up. The feedback eventually from the audience was that they loved the entire day. Why? Because they loved the water park and they enjoyed at the water park like anything. And by the evening they were very tired and they actually logged off. Very few from the audience. We had only about 100-150. When actually throughout the day the audience was somewhere about 600 to 650. So it was a complete contrast. So though the participants really enjoyed it, we really took a lot of flack from the senior management, because there were few customers who were invited to the cultural program, only to the cultural program. So it was not just the audience could still have been managed, but the point is that even the participants did not turn up on time because they were so engrossed in the water park. the schedule completely went over, was completely in a havoc state. Also, there was a serious delay in the function because the audio system of the auditorium did not connect with the media player that we had. So there were serious failures in this, and some things that I really learned from this as an event coordinator. I should definitely have had one person from entire participant teams, from all participant teams, at least one person from each of those teams to coordinate with me on a constant basis and be the central point of contact, which generally was not there. There were distributed points of contacts, and within them they did not know who was contacting whom. So that centralized information center should definitely have been there. Then another thing that I realized was I should not have assumed that everyone will do the responsibilities that are given to them. I should have rather ensured that those things happen. I should not have assumed that everyone will do it. So they should actually have been a constant check on that day as to, yes, have they brought in their costumes, have they set up the green room for themselves, or things like that. At least throughout the day I should have kept on having those checks. And lastly, a dress rehearsal was a must, which we did not have, which basically showed that we were less prepared. So we should have had a dress rehearsal in which we would have found out the issue of the sound system upfront. We would not have had the delay, and I think better planning would have also let us know that there was only one green room for females and males together.
10-15 hours, for example, from Bangalore to New York, New Jersey. How will he describe you when he gets down off the track? Okay. So with someone who you spend some significant amount of time, not just a fleeting meeting. So then how would he describe you?
He would describe me as very enthusiastic, very open to knowing new ideas or opinions, and logically trying to put down my own opinions.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So that's how it is, right? Okay, let's go. Mohit, what would you like to change in your professional career? So till it has been till now. So if there is something or other which you would like would not have happened, or would it would have been good if you could have changed that. So an example.
I think no, I would not want to change anything as such in my professional career. The very slight thing may be the first year, which did not actually align to the rest of to the deviation that I actually took in my career later on. But then
First year of your college?
First year of my job.
Job.
Yeah, first year of my job. Because if I am presented with the same situation, with the same knowledge, I think I'll take the same decision. So that was a mature decision as per that situation. But if you're actually asking about college as well, then
I was just asking about your professional
career. So in my professional career, actually, I've taken a lot of radical decisions, which are very counter-current decisions. I was working with Hutch when I was getting good visibility in Hutch, as I told you, with the CTO and the general manager. But at that very time, I actually switched to Infosys at half the salary, just to gain a breadth of experience on enterprise application development. That I am still surprised as such that how come with just 1 year of experience I had that much of maturity to go ahead with that decision. But that is something that I really take pride in today when I reflect back. Then even with IATA, As I told, IATA was actually coming down from a size of 100 to about 35. And everyone wanted to move out of the project because everyone thought this is a dying project, and not much of career can be built in that project. I was the only person who actually said that I would want to stay in the project. Because I stayed in the project, I actually got very good responsibilities because all the senior people had actually moved out of the project. So people who were senior to me had actually moved out, and so I got the opportunity. Not just I already had the opportunity of on-site coordination through IATA. I got the opportunity of project management through IATA. But what I got ahead of my time, which probably I would not have got for another 3-4 years, was program management for IATA. So since I was one of the most senior guys, and I stayed on even after that for another 2 years, I really got involved with almost all the engagements that we had with IATA. So it came out to such an extent that my BDM, our Mindtree's BDM for IATA, usually used to call me as the face of Mindtree to IATA rather than himself, because I was working on all aspects with all the different stakeholders, all the different customers at IATA.